It is the Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracle Study Group. And looks like we're a small but mighty group tonight. And as I said before, Hilda's here. So, things are looking up when Hilda shows up, right?
That's right.
Man, it's going to be a good one. All right, there she is.
Hi,
Good
Hilda.
evening.
Hi, Hilda.
Hi, welcome. It's good to see you. And
Thank-
we were saying it's always a good sign the meeting is a go. It's official when Hildegard gets here. So we are
thank you.
indeed on the record. I'm happy to see everybody. And oh, Karen, we're kind of, I guess I haven't heard from her. Maybe Karen will join us soon. And I did say Joan's running late. So I thought maybe we just go ahead and get started. There's a lot of good material here tonight. But just again to check, is there anything anyone wants to say, announce, comment on, or anything? Okay. Well, we this week finished chapter 12 according to the schedule and workbook lessons 78 to 84. And that threw us into a review period in the workbook, review number 2. And so I want to go over that with you tonight, but not right now, later on when we get to our workbook in tonight's study. But in terms of review, everyone, what about chapter 12? You got any takeaways from it? What's it saying overall in chapter 12? We started it last week, remember? But anybody want to sum up chapter 12? Ugh, nobody. All right. Here's let me ask a question, okay? What are the only two things going on in the world? I know it looks like a lot of things, but what does the course say? They all can collapse into two things. Uh, Hint, they both have to do with love. Is that
Peace and forgiveness.
say that again, Ron?
Peace and forgiveness.
That's true.
Peace.
Those things both have to do with love, but from a transactional point of view, from our interactions with each other, what does the Course say we are experiencing? And there can only be two things, and they both have to, Hilda,
I just want to say, love or looking for love.
well said. Did you hear what she said, Ron?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Love and looking for love. And there's a little different language. The Course says expressions of love
Call for
and
love.
calls for love.
And what else?
Calls, CALLS for love. And Jesus says, if you think anything else is going on, you're mistaken. Correct this mistake, and you will see truly. And having seen truly, you will respond truly. Your comments. What do you think? What's that about? Having seen truly, you will respond truly.
Truly.
If you see it in an error, your response will be erroneous. Yes, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You gave the wrong response because you were mistaken about what was happening. So if you understood there are only expressions of love and calls for love, you can appreciate the expressions of love, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Your response to expressions of love. Thank you. Boy, this feels great. Isn't that wonderful? So, how should you respond to calls for love?
With love.
In love.
So, why does the world teach us that calls for love, let's say lawlessness, things that go against our norms, the response is not love, but punishment?
Punishment.
Mm.
Is there any wonder there is many prisons today as ever, and that the recidivism rate for prisoners, the ones that get out and come back, is like, I don't know, 70%? Is it obvious that punishing people is an inappropriate response?
Hmm.
Because when you punish people, their calls for love can only grow louder. I asked you for love and you smacked me. I know I acted out in ways that the society doesn't approve of, but it's not because I'm a bad person. It's because I'm calling for to get my needs met. I was already down and you smacked me down further. How does that solve my problem?
It doesn't.
How long have we had punishment?
Ever.
Is there any wonder the world looks the way it does? Now,
No.
the course is addressing these hidden mental, emotional motivations that result in the actions we see on the outside. It's coming from the thoughts that the people aren't even aware of, but we've learned to think more deeply, right?
Right.
So, chapter 12 just says if you want to follow the Holy Spirit, you'll recognize certain truths, and the recognition of these truths will elicit a different response because now you're seeing a different situation. How am I doing here?
Good.
Okay.
Oh, here's Karen. Let's get her in here. And let's see.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening, partner. How are you, Karen?
I'm okay.
Good, good. We were just getting started, and I'm so glad you're here, my friend.
Thank
We
you.
were just doing a review of chapter 12,
Okay.
and I just gave a superficial, admittedly, review of chapter 12 and boiled it down to the Holy Spirit teaches that there are only two things going on in this world. It looks like a lot of things, but they're really forms that emanate from two things. And we established that the two things are expressions of love. And what else, Karen? Do you know? Calls for love.
Oh, okay.
Expressions of love and calls for love. If you think that anything else is going on besides this, you're mistaken. And because you believe a mistaken assumption, you respond inappropriately. So if all that's going on is expressions of love, you're grateful for that. The other thing are calls for love. So if you get a call for love, what is the appropriate response?
An expression of love.
Okay, because that's what's being called for. But mistakenly, we respond to calls for love, people acting out, right? And we punish them. I mean, if you do a call for love, what do? Smack them? And the reason you smack them or punish them is because you're under a mistaken assumption that the action was something else because they're evil or mean or bad people. Do you see how that changes everything?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I did a little bit along on the repeat here for Karen, right? But she probably deserves it, doesn't she?
Thank you.
All right, here's
Yes.
Joan. She said she'd be a bit late tonight. Let's get her in here. I'm not going to review all of it again. How's that?
Right.
Any comments from anybody about what we've said so far? All right. Oh, I see you have put something in the chat here.
Yeah, I have to take a minute off. I'll be back. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Joan. Welcome.
Hi, Jim. Hi, everyone. Good to see you.
Hi, Joan.
I got your text message, so we knew you'd be kind of late. We're just on the agenda. We're on the review. We just finished reviewing chapter 12. Y'all think I did justice to that about love and
Yeah.
call for love?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing we were on this week were lessons 70 something.
Yeah. 78
Was it?
to
Yeah,
78 to 84.
84. Your
Mhm.
comments, questions, criticisms of that.
I haven't really looked at them yet.
Ah, well, what do you think of lessons 78 and 79? Did you get to take a look at that one or at those? They were kind of related. 78 said, I'm sorry. No. I want to say 79 and 80. If I didn't say that before, I mean 79 and 80. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. And then 80 says, let me recognize my problems have been solved. You remember that one at all? Or if you didn't do it this week, you remember it from previous studies. One of the keys, if you'll just look at the wording between the two, what's different about those statements? The first says, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. And then let me recognize my problems have been solved.
I think it's important to know that in order to do anything, I mean, you have to recognize that there is something that needs to be addressed. And once you have that, you can then step forward to say, what do I do? How do I do it? I resolve it. And then I think by spirit guide, you come to recognize, it's been solved. Why was I so worried about it?
Okay, great. I think you grasped it correctly. What's the problem? And notice it didn't say problems in 79. What did it say? Not problems, but
The
Problem.
problem.
so that's one problem, isn't it?
Mhm.
What is it?
The same.
Separation.
Separation.
Separation. You remember when we first started talking about the tiny mad idea? And maybe you just kind of say, oh, okay, and just kept reading without understanding the magnitude of that statement. And what the Course is saying is separation is the one and only problem we have. So 80 says, if you recognize the problem and it's only one, that's a relief, isn't it? You mean it's not, I don't have millions of problems or thousands or hundreds or 50 problems a day. I only have one. Well, that's a relief right there, isn't it?
Yes,
That makes the whole thing a bit more manageable, doesn't it?
I think so.
And then if you look at 80, Jesus says, and guess what? The problem of separation has already been solved. But if you solve that one, wouldn't you solve all your problems?
Yes.
Well, that's what the Holy Spirit has already done. But if you don't believe it, it's not effective for you. If I offer you a gift and you don't accept it, you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a gift?
Yes, it's still a gift.
Okay. But do you see how the intent is not complete? It's not a whole cycle. It's a gift that's waiting. Why was it so easy to resolve this problem? Because there was only one. It's easier when you see it's only one. So really, it wasn't all that hard. So it was done for us in an instant. But if you don't believe it, why wouldn't you believe it? Because you believe the tiny mad idea. Comments? You're not an individual. You're part of a greater life, the Course and these spiritual writings say. There's something beyond the everyday stuff that we see. You come far enough along to start giving validity, there's something else, right? There's some other intelligence at work here. And so what that becomes is simply a gateway to reality. We're just being honest. We did not create ourselves. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we did not.
I'm sorry if you're insulted. I'm sorry if your ego is insulted. But the honest truth is, you are not your own maker. You are not independent. You're connected to something bigger. You have a boss. You are a worker for a boss. Well, I don't like that. Well, don't jump to conclusions. What's the nature of your boss? Do you like your boss? Or do you resist your boss? Or do you project on him some sort of evil, punishing, angry boss? Is that the nature of your boss? Well, that determines your whole job, doesn't it? What if you loved your boss? What if you loved working for your boss because your boss loves you back?
Wow.
Okay. So I'm maybe getting off on this, but don't you find it helpful? What we're doing is I'm trying to use the language that I'm learning to break this down in a way that it's not spiritual, mystical, or any of that. It's just a different way of understanding in plain language. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Any comments? That's our review for tonight. Are you motivated enough to go to the next item then?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Good old chapter 13 in the text, my friends. It starts on page 236 in the text. It's called The Guiltless World. And let's see. I've got 7 people. Sherilyn, you're reading. You'll be number 1. Ron is number 2. Nancy, question mark, yes or no?
No.
Okay. And Hildegard, yes or no?
No.
And Karen will be 3. Joe will be 4. I will be 5. And we're good to go. I can't wait to get into it.
The Guiltless World. Introduction. If you did not feel guilty, you could not attack. For condemnation is the root of attack. It is the judgment of one mind by another as unworthy of love and deserving of punishment. But herein lies the split. For the mind that judges perceives itself as separate from the mind being judged, believing that by punishing another, it will escape punishment. All this is but the delusional attempt of the mind to deny itself and escape the penalty of denial. It is not an attempt to relinquish denial, but to hold on to it. For it is guilt that has obscured the Father to you, and it is guilt that has driven you insane.
And let's do another, I don't know,
Okay.
let's go on the Ron, if you would, paragraph 2.
Okay, the acceptance of guilt into the mind of God's Son was the beginning of the separation, as the acceptance of the atonement is his end. Important sentence.
Mm.
The world you see is the delusional system of those made mad by guilt. Look carefully at this world, and you will realize so. For this world is the symbol of punishment, and all the laws that seem to govern are the laws of death. Children are born into it through pain and in pain. Their growth is attended by suffering, and they learn of sorrow and separation and death. Their minds seem to be trapped into their brain, and its powers to decline if their bodies are hurt. They seem to love, yet they desert and are deserted. They appear to lose what they love, perhaps the most insane belief of all, and their bodies wither and gasp and are laid in the ground and are no more. No, not one of them, but has thought that God is cruel.
All right, so we got a couple of paragraphs to consider. What did you see? Are you following paragraph 1? And again, this is the introduction to the chapter. But did they say anything surprising in paragraph 1? Or anything that caught your attention or really resonated?
Well, I'm reminded again, if I'm feeling guilty, then I'm more likely to attack
Yes.
out of that feeling of guilt. It means something is missing from my life. So by attacking somebody else, I think I'm getting that something back in my life, which isn't necessarily the truth.
Well, let's just talk about direction here, Ron, with what you were saying. When I start to feel guilty, I feel vulnerable because there's a lack in me. I've done something wrong, or there's something missing in my life, and I don't like that feeling. So directionally, you'll see me lash out at you. Do you see what I mean? Just to make it even more practical, I want you to see why people act the way that they do according to this course. Now, is that why you thought they acted the way they did? What if you run into somebody that's obnoxious or mean or have behaviors that rub you the wrong way? What are they doing? They're covering up. You know, Shakespeare, there's this line that says, "Me thinketh thou protesteth too much." You're covering up. You're doing it to cover over something else. You're doing it to deny if you were honest, to deny that hole in you and that feeling, as Ron said, that there's an unmet need in me. And it makes me do crazy things sometimes. So if it is coming from an unmet need, what would be the appropriate response from us?
To meet that need.
This is
And
not
probably
rocket
is
science. Yes.
no,
Go ahead.
and it would probably be in the form of love. It would have to be.
Is it in the form of punishment? Is that what's being
Sometimes
for?
that's the way it comes out. Yeah. And that's a mistake.
So when it doesn't work, why would you be surprised? It doesn't work because it's not true. When you see things that don't work, what is the height of insanity? To keep things doing the same thing over and over,
and getting the same
expecting
result.
a different result. So, how long have we had prisoners in prisons?
Forever.
When do you think they will accomplish the job?
Never.
Never.
Then why do you keep investing in stuff that can't work? And the reason it can't work is because it's a mistaken response. To me, the Course is very enlightening when it asked us to consider this, because I never would have thought about that before, would you?
No.
In paragraph 2, do you agree with paragraph 2? That if this was the world that God created, God would be cruel. Do you agree? Isn't that what it said? What an existence to be born in pain and all of that, and grow and debilitate and suffer, and then you die. How can you say God is love? We're just being honest, right?
Yeah.
It's not sacrilegious, it's just being honest. And I would agree with the Course that if God, who's supposed to be love, how can love make a world like this?
Can't.
And did not, and didn't. So if God didn't make it, where are you? Who did make it?
We did.
Yeah, our ego.
And you don't have the capabilities of making a world because individuals have no power compared to the power of working together as a whole. So the tiny mad idea, excuse me, produces chaos, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a good idea of what the problem is, the solution is to restore wholeness. But let's not just be superficial about this. How the hell are you going to do that? It's just
one person at a time.
Okay, and that's true unless you get a whole bunch of people doing one at a time. So I don't know how to do that part. But then my mom and dad come in and say, I know you don't know how to do that part, but I got you. I would never abandon you. If you will allow me, I'll show you your part in a plan that cannot fail. This world in its current iteration does not have the ability to stand. And yet here's this invisible spiritual thing saying, I'll show you how to transform it, because that's part of how this thing was supposed to happen and how you were supposed to develop and mature from a child of God to a mature, wise, developed one. That's only 2 paragraphs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just pick up here with Aaron for paragraph 3.
If this were the real world, God would be cruel, for no father could subject his children to this as the price of salvation and be loving. Love does not kill to save. If it did, attack would be salvation. And this is the ego's interpretation, not God's. Only the world of guilt could demand this, for only the guilty could conceive of it. Adam's sin could have touched no one, had he not believed it was the Father who drove him out of paradise. For in that belief, the knowledge of the Father was lost, since only those who do not understand him could believe it.
Thank you, Karen. Joe, do paragraph 4. That's the last one here for the intro.
Okay. This world is a picture of the crucifixion of God's Son. And until you realize that God's Son cannot be crucified, this is the world you will see. Yet you will not realize this until you accept the eternal fact that God's Son is not guilty. He deserves only love because he has given only love. He cannot be condemned because he has never condemned. The atonement is the final lesson he need learn. Teaches him that never having sinned, he has no need of salvation.
Okay. Did you notice in paragraph 3 this reference to Adam? And you know that story, right? From Genesis, the story of Adam and Eve and how Eve got Adam to eat the apple and God threw him out of paradise for violating God's rule. Isn't that the essence of it? Y'all know the story? Am I right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that confirmation. Now I'll go on. Who's the villain in that story?
The snake.
No. Who's the villain that threw him out of paradise? All they did was took a bite.
Oh, God. God is the villain.
Okay. Have you ever really thought about who the villain was in that story?
No.
It was a story of a wrathful creator. And if you make a mistake, what's he gonna do? Forgive you or
Condemn you.
punish you, right?
Right.
A villain. The fear of God. So that's just a little different interpretation that the Course recognizes in that story. It says Adam's sin could have touched no one had he not believed it was God who drove him out of paradise. And now he has this anger that he lost something he really wanted. And now there's a gap, an emptiness in him that he longs to refill or to restore this thing that he lost. And he may not admit that's what the issue is, but it causes him to act out in all kinds of crazy ways to cover it up. He tries to compensate. Instead of dealing with the problem, he kind of tries to deny it. And it's that emptiness that we still feel because we think we're an individual. It's ridiculous because you're not. The whole thing becomes ridiculous when you understand that it's premise that we're individuals, that we're separate, right? Let me recognize the problem. You see how massive that one idea is? How detrimental it is. Any comments from anyone? If you think I'm wrong, please let's talk about it. Okay. So we got through the introduction, and I think it's my turn, isn't it? We're on guiltlessness and invulnerability. Okay. Section 1. Earlier, I said that the Holy Spirit shares the goal of all good teachers, whose ultimate aim is to make themselves unnecessary by teaching their pupils all they know. The Holy Spirit wants only this: for sharing the Father's love with his Son, he seeks to remove all guilt from his mind, that he may remember his Father in peace. Peace and guilt are antithetical, and the Father can be remembered only in peace. Love and guilt cannot coexist, and to accept one is to deny the other. Guilt hides Christ from your sight, for it is the denial of the blamelessness of God's Son. God's Son cannot be guilty because of what God is. I'm just appealing to your logic, okay? If God created it, it's got to have its creator's characteristics. Is this hard so far?
No.
So what does it mean for you then? If this is true, then the other is false, right? Right?
Right.
So which one are you going to hold on to? Which guidance are you going to follow?
Holy Spirit.
But you have to follow that guidance only, or your journey will be 2 steps forward. Oh, I let my guard down with the ego, and then 2 steps back or 1 step back, or so this back and forth only delays your suffering. But if I choose one and let the other one go, if this is true about the Holy Spirit, it'll work a lot faster. If it works a lot faster, I suffer less. You follow?
Yes.
The Course says the function of the miracle worker is to save time. It's sad okay? Everybody's going to get there. That's inevitable. But how long do you want to see the world, yourself and the world suffer? This is how we help as teachers of God, to help people realize the truth and the mistakes and correct them. We are at paragraph 2, right, Shirley?
Okay. In the strange world that you have made, the Son of God has sinned. How could you see him then? By making him invisible, the world of retribution rose in the black cloud of guilt that you accepted, and you hold it dear. For the blamelessness of Christ is the proof that the ego never was and can never be. Without guilt, the ego has no life, and God's Son is without guilt.
So what produces guilt? Let's just talk
The
about
ego,
that deep root level. Inequality. If everything isn't the same, some feel in one way they're not whole. They're the haves and the have-nots, right? That's just the way things are, right?
Right.
The haves can't help but go to bed at night and subconsciously wonder and be fearful and feel guilty about what they do. They cover it over. It's easy to do. But the guilt is still there because something's wrong. Something's off balance. Some duality. How come I have so much and some have so little? Well, I don't care about them, you say. But subconsciously, it works on you. How am I doing here? Who disagrees? The haves don't think about the have-nots at all, ever, do they? Well, they never say. Guilt. It's a world made of guilt, of uneven highs and lows that throw people off and just keep us in differences. And so we don't have any unified goals and can't work together. But what the book is saying is this is all coming from the guilt associated with the tiny mad idea of being separate and alone. It's hard to do great things by yourself, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You may be good, but compared to what, right? You want to read some more? I'm pontificating here. I don't need to do all of that. Who was our last reader?
I was.
All right. So let's go on to Ron. You ready, sir?
Yes.
Great.
3. As you look upon yourself and judge what you do honestly, you may be tempted to wonder how you can be guiltless. Yet consider this: you are not guiltless in time, but in eternity. You have sinned in the past, but there is no past. Always has no direction. Time seems to go in one direction, but when you reach its end, it will roll up like a long carpet spread along the past beyond you, and it will disappear. As long as you believe the Son of God is guilty, you will walk along this carpet, believing that it leads to death. And the journey will seem long and cruel and senseless, for so it is.
Thank you. Karen, paragraph 4. Oh, Karen, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you read paragraph 4? Oh, my.
The journey of the Son of God has set himself in useless indeed, is useless indeed. But the journey on which his Father sets him is one of release and joy. The Father is not cruel, and his Son cannot hurt himself. The retaliation that he fears and that he sees will never touch him. For although he believes in it, the Holy Spirit knows it is not true. The Holy Spirit stands at the end of time, where you must be because he is with you. He has already undone everything unworthy of the Son of God, for such was his mission, given him by God, and what God gives has always been.
So when did the Holy Spirit undo everything? I'm reading from sentence 5. He has already undone everything. Y'all see that? When was it undone, to use a time-based question? When was it undone?
Long time ago.
Yeah,
I think
Right.
it's
at the beginning,
yeah.
whatever that was.
So specifically in this book, just so you can see why I've asked you to highlight it, it was undone on page 103, paragraph 12. Have you heard me talk about it before?
Yes,
How many times?
a lot.
So God did not question, God gave the answer. Capital A, answer. The answer is your teacher. Now, it did not say God gave it to somebody to work on it, did it? It said God gave the answer, the conclusion, it was taken care of in that instant that the answer was given. Can a slow God be God?
Probably not.
Okay. Being slow, you probably don't want on your resume if you're applying to be God. It was undone. Now, why doesn't it look undone? It's not because the gift wasn't given, to use an analogy we're using tonight. Didn't we say something about giving a gift? But what if the gift isn't accepted? Is it still a gift? And Ron said yes. And
Yeah.
yet, in total, the motivation for that whole interaction is incomplete because it was given but not received. So it's only a gift waiting to be appreciated and used.
That's good.
So don't blame God for this stuff. What's making this is our refusal to accept it. But how can you know until you know you don't know, right?
Right.
So we're coming into realizations that are helping to awaken us. So what should we do with our newly received gifts?
Receive them.
And
Share them.
that is how the thing is supposed to work. If you receive them and hoard them, you know, the parables in the Bible about the wealthy land, or the parable of the talents. Y'all heard of that one where he said, I'm going off, but take care of my estate, and gave one 10 talents and one 5 talents. And yeah, I don't want to belabor it. If you don't know it, never mind. Yeah, gifts are to be shared, not hoarded for your puny little old tiny egoic self. Why do you think God gave you the gift? Why? Why would love give you any kind of gift?
To reinforce love.
And love is always expressing, dynamic. It's a cycle that makes more of itself through the process of sharing. Quick example we've used before. Look at the telephone. What had more, when the first phone was invented, that was great, right? But there's only 2 of them. So its power and effect was limited, wasn't it? Great idea, but only 2 people were using it. But look what's happened when the idea is shared. Do you see its power increases as ideas are shared, not hoarded? Comments from you. I could go on and on. You're probably tired of that, though. Any other comments here? Do you remember, are we on paragraph? Where are we? God, that's terrible. Anybody remember what paragraph we're on? Who read last?
I think I read paragraph 4.
Thank you. All right, let's get back into it. Thank you, Karen. We're up to Joan for paragraph 5, all right?
Okay. You will see me as you learn the Son of God is guiltless. He has always sought his guiltlessness, and he has found it. For everyone is seeking to escape from the prison he has made, and the way to find release is not denied him. Being in him, he has found it. When he finds it is only a matter of time, and time is but an illusion. For the Son of God is guiltless now, and the brightness of his purity shines untouched forever in God's mind. God's Son will always be as he was created. Deny your world and judge him not, for his eternal guiltlessness is in the mind of his Father and protects him forever.
When you accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. What's atonement mean?
The correction of errors in thinking.
When you have accepted the correction of errors in your thinking, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. And only as you look upon him as guiltless, can you understand his oneness? For the idea of guilt brings a belief in condemnation of one by another, projecting separation in place of unity. You can only condemn yourself, and by so doing, you cannot know that you are God's son. You have denied the conditions of his being, which is his perfect blamelessness. Out of love, he was created, and in love, he abides. Goodness and mercy have always followed him, for he has always extended the love of his Father. Who the hell is he talking about? Who is it that has always extended the love of his Father? Right? That's
We.
what
Who? When it refer to we, us,
Would
as
it be
the sons.
You mean all of us?
Well, everyone who accepts that realizes it. Yes.
What about the ones that don't realize it? Is it not true for them?
Well, it's true for everyone, but not everyone realizes it.
So
We're talking about the Son of God, and we are all sons of God.
But everyone doesn't realize it.
That's right.
And so they're acting as though they don't realize it.
That's right.
If they realized it, would they act differently?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a big thing.
Right. And that's where the Holy Spirit comes in, because you can't do this big thing alone.
By yourself.
Are you willing to participate in a joint venture to do it then? A joint venture would have more power than you, right?
Of course.
So that's what the Holy Spirit does. When you're ready, he adds your active participation to the mission, thus bringing about the conclusion more swiftly. And what is your participation?
Accepting.
Say that again, dear.
Accepting the guiltlessness of God.
And accepting it is theory. Besides the theory, the application.
Yeah.
See, there are always two things that have to join for it to work.
Yeah.
Theory and application are two parts of the same whole.
Yes.
So you accept it
and apply it.
The application is a demonstration of your acceptance. And when you demonstrate your acceptance, that is how you teach. You don't teach by being a teacher and lecturer and going around on the stage or a podium. You demonstrate, you teach by how you live your life and how you treat others. It'll take you over. You'll become a new, like when Moses came back down the mountain with the burning bush, and he was like transformed and glowing, and something had happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to see progress in how you've embraced these principles, or at least given them serious consideration over time?
Yeah, it's a slow process, but I can see that it's working.
Yeah. And Sherilyn is relatively new to this consistent study of the course, so I can see you're benefiting from it. What
Mhm.
about some of the rest of you? Uh, are you able to see changes in your life over time because you tried to work on do some of this?
I have more peace in my life.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. Uh,
Chapter 8 starts out, knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. What is?
Peace, pieces.
oh,
So don't you see it's doing what it said it would do?
Mhm.
It's making
yes.
you more peaceful. Someone else had a comment. What's there? Okay. Um, well, you come off the study group. It must be doing something for you. You keep coming back, and I'm so happy to hear that. I'll tell you what, probably I'd like to do. We finished paragraph 6, right? And so, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to leave it there tonight so we can do some stuff with our workbook. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, listen, I want to, in particular, I know you've probably already read it, but I just want to go through the introduction to review 2. It's in the workbook for students on page 145. So why don't we go there? And I believe Sherilyn's our next reader. So why don't we do this introduction and then do our lesson for tonight? Sherilyn, you ready?
Yep, I'm working on it here.
Okay.
All right. The introduction to the review. We are now ready for another review. We will begin where our last review left off and cover 2 ideas each day. The earlier part of each day will be devoted to one of these ideas and the latter part of the day to the other. We will have one longer exercise period and frequent shorter ones in which we practice each of them. The longer practice periods will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin by thinking about the ideas for the day and the comments that are included in the assignments. Devote some 3 or 4 minutes to reading them over slowly, several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. You want me to continue or?
Well, no, let's go to Ron next. Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay.
Repeat the first phase of the exercise period if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the time listening quietly but attentively. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize that whatever form such thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all.
And so let's have Karen read the last 2 paragraphs here.
He's got her microphone off there.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't necessarily want to be hearing what's going on in the background of my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Well, we can go to Joan for now. That's
Oh
okay.
no, I mean I can read. That's just why I mute my
Yeah.
microphone.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Tell
Yeah.
them you hi and your husband also.
Regard these practice periods as dictations to the way.
Dedications. You see it?
Oh, dedication, sorry, to the way, the truth, and the life. Refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death. You are dedicated to salvation. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Reaffirm your determination in the shorter practice periods as well, using the original form of the idea for general applications and more specific forms when needed. Some specific forms are included in the comments which follow the statement of the ideas. These, however, are merely suggestions. It is not the particular words you use that matter.
So, how many of you can sit quietly for 10 minutes? Yeah.
Right.
Are you able to sit quietly longer than you were a few years ago? Yeah.
Right.
I know for me, I've gotten really comfortable with quiet. Uh, when I first started, it was, well, first of all, my mind was always racing from one thought to another thought. And what about this? And here's a nice quiet period for me to review everything that's going on in my life. And it was an intense thinking session, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what meditation is. What we're trying to get us to do is to quiet our thinking. Ideally, the idea is to get us to stop thinking. Now, here's the problem with our thinking. It is coming from two sources, I guess. No, maybe three. One is physical activity, like of the body. We're thinking about our body and physical stuff. And we're thinking about our experiences and the emotions, good or bad, associated with those experiences. We are thinking about the chaos of the unreality. So when you think about something, you give it power. Even if it was inadvertent, you're still, that's not what meditation is a time for you to think. It's a time to try and get to a state of not thinking. Your thoughts are barriers to your communication with your creator. Why? Because your thoughts are a mistake. They're antithetical to the creator. They won't make sense. They'll break or hinder communication. So all of these lessons, notice we do a meditation period with it, because the real teaching is not going to be in the words. The real teaching is mental. It's a mind training course. That's why you'll notice kind of near the end of paragraph 6, sentence 2. Some specific forms are included in the comments which follow the statement of the ideas. These, however, are merely suggestions. Jesus says it is not the particular words you use that matter. What we're trying to get you to have are experiences. It is the experience that is the central teaching of this course, not the words, but the words prepare us to meet the conditions to have the experiences that are the real teacher. How am I doing, or is this too deep?
Good.
All right. So with that introduction, and you've started this review already today, we're on page, or rather lesson 85 on page 150. And Joan, were you the last reader? Or no, was it you or?
No, good. Karen was the last
Yeah.
reader.
So Joan, would you please do lesson 85 for us, and then we'll go into our meditation period, please.
Okay. Lesson 85. My grievances hide the light of the world in me. My grievances show me what is not there and hide from me what I would see. Recognizing this, what do I want my grievances for? They keep me in darkness and hide the light. Grievances and light cannot go together, but light and vision must be joined for me to see. To see, I must lay grievances aside. I want to see, and this will be the means by which I will succeed. Specific applications for this idea might be made in these forms. Let me not use this as a block to sight. The light of the world will shine all this away. I have no need for this. I want to see.
Let me, I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask your opinion on one thing in this first one. It's in paragraph 1 and sentence 5. Grievances and light cannot go together, but light and vision must be joined for me to see. What does that mean to you? It's kind of important to point out why are light and vision so important to what you see? Why is light so important?
Well, it says grievances and light cannot go together. So if you can work with the light, it will be helpful for you to be able to see what you are to see.
Okay. Now, you might think of light normally as like you turn the light on when you come into your room, right? But a lot of the light that we talk about here is defined as the light of understanding, the light of awareness, the light of realization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with more light, with more understanding, doesn't that change your vision? A situation may have looked one way in the darkness. You with me? But when you turn the light on, you might see it entirely differently. So, do you see what that sentence means, and does it make sense? It says, but light and vision must be joined for me to see clearly. I'll see amiss if I'm missing the big picture. Like you can't see the forest for the trees, right? All right, so I just wanted to point that out. And so let me read the next one so we can do our meditation. Next is my salvation comes from me. Today I will recognize where my salvation is. It is in me because its source is there. This source says, my salvation has not left its source, and so it cannot have left my mind. I will not look for it outside myself. It is not found outside and then brought in. But from within me, it will reach beyond, and everything I see will but reflect the light that shines in me and in itself. And then Jesus says, these forms of the idea are suitable for more specific applications. Let this not tempt me to look away from me for my salvation. I will not let this interfere with my awareness of the source of my salvation. This has no power to remove salvation from me. I am saved. Stop worrying about it. Act like you're saved. Let's just reflect on that. It's meditation time. Pick one of these review titles or both of them. And before we go tonight, just spend a few moments being quiet and try not to think your thoughts. Just relax. Don't think. All right, here, let me get this going. All right, so thank you for your patience tonight, but I wanted to get a meditation session in, and I thought that was a good one. that was a guy doing his version of one of Paramahansa Yogananda's cosmic chants. And so I hope you could appreciate it as a meditation subject. Any final comments or questions before we go?
Good session.
All right, because you anticipated what I was going to say. Did you have a good time?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Tell you anything mean or unhappy about yourself? It's all good news on this study, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Amen to that.
doesn't it encourage you to learn more about yourself when you learn what a great thing you are and that you're not a filthy, miserable sinner?
Yeah.
It's a mistake.
Who knew?
Who knew? There you go. All right. Listen, I just wanted to remind you, hopefully you got the email with our agenda for ACIM music and meditation tomorrow night. Our topic will be lesson 3 in the Course in Miracles. I do not understand anything I see. So I hope you can come back and join us for that. Otherwise, I wish you a good and prosperous week. Did I ask if you had any final thing you wanted to say before we close?
Just have a happy 4th of July, everyone.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Happy 4th of
Yes.
July.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
So thank you for that reminder, Nancy. Anyhow, I'm going to turn it over to Hilda and let you good people get on with your lives, okay? Hilda, if you would.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am
I
the
am the light of
The
God.
light of God.
I am the love of God.
I am
I am
the love
light
of God.
I am the power of God.
I
I
am
am the power
of
of God.
I am the presence of God.
I
I
am
I am
the
the
presence
presence
of
of God.
God.
Therefore,
Therefore,
wherever I am,
wherever I am,
God is,
God is,
God
is,
and all is well.
and
and
all
and
all
all is
is
well.
well.
There is nothing to fear.
there is
There is
nothing
Nothing
to
to
fear.
fear.
There is only love.
There is
There is only love.
love.
Stay.
Ooh, what a
Namaste.
what a relief, because this whole time I was thinking there was something else besides love, and I didn't like it. So, wow. All right, guys.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me here. And keep your batteries charged up with truth. I'll see you next time, okay?
Okay.
See you
Good
tomorrow.
Thank you,
everyone.
Jen.
Have a blessed week, everybody.
Good
You
night.
all.
Thank
You.
you.
Bye.